Good morning and happy Monday. I hope you had a good weekend. For those of you that were out enjoying the festivities today, I'm not sure who may or may not have seen an eclipse, but I was getting all kinds of messages and pictures today. Thank you for those of you that sent those to me. If you're just joining me, I'd love it if you could let me know that you can see and hear me on the other end. I'm just looking on Facebook land here. Today is a bit about stress. April is Stress Awareness Month. And, stress is one of those big, bad general terms that means a lot of different things to many people. So I think it really depends on how, what you think stressed is and how it presents itself is different for everyone. Stress can affect your physical and your mental health. We all know this, but sometimes in the heat of the moment, we're not always so mindful, and we don't always recognize that even just our mental stress at work, or our kids are driving us crazy, or we didn't get enough sleep. There's a million reasons that our body can be stressed, and it can present itself in the form of mental and physical health issues. So being physically active, of course, presents a lot of things for the physical body, but we often don't really think about how it affects the cognitive function, the mental health of the brain. Not everybody does crosswords in the morning and word searches and all these brain activities that we used to do that kept not only our mental but our physical health strong. So today I wanted to go. I did a stretching session a couple weeks ago that was a big hit. And there's a bazillion different types of stretches out there. But today I want to go over a few that can help you de-stress for the month of April. As I said, it's April Awareness or Stress Awareness Month, but we should be mindful. And if you do find yourself stressed out throughout the day, be that physically or mentally, and you have access to a vibration machine, you can use a couple of these stretches. You could do this as a routine, as a feel-good thing on its own. We're going to start with a couple seated. We're going to progress to a couple standing, and then we're going to get down on the ground and do a couple of things for those of you that have the range of motion to join me. So today, like I say, everything that I'm doing could be a routine on its own, or as always, if there's one or two positions that really work well for you, you could use that for a minute or two as a spot treatment throughout the course of the day. I'm a big fan of spot treatments. So for those of you that are joining me, I'm going to check the chat window here. Please let me know where you're from. Let me know if you can see and hear me. I was a little bit late in getting started today. Some internet issues. It does look like I am rambling on the main page, so I'm going to get rid of that. It is also, there's another review contest going on, so I'm going to drop that in the messages right now as well. So for those of you that may have purchased something here within the last little while, there is a review contest for $1,000 Visa card and a Life Pro t-shirt. So be sure to go through there's a link there that I've dropped in the chat window to go in and follow the steps so that you can be entered to win. Today, if you are joining me, like I say, let me know where you're from. Somebody let me know that you can see and hear me, and I will get over to my ramblings and my moves. Again, stress is something that creeps up on us. It can have a huge impact on our health. Hello, Laura from Gig Harbor. Very nice. I'm hoping you can see and hear me. Otherwise, you wouldn't have answered my question. Today, there's always all kinds of levels of health joining me. Some of you are mobile. Some of you are not. Thank you, Laura, for confirming that. So I always like, especially when I'm doing things like stress awareness and feel good stuff or condition specific type stuff, I always want to give examples for those of you that are in a poor place of mobility or maybe just lazy today and want to join me seated. We will then progress to some standing exercises, and then we're going to get down on the ground for a couple of stretches as well. So today I am working on a mini Life Pro waiver. All of my sessions are always in oscillating. Oscillating is the foundational movement. It's how we walk. But for my purposes today, we're not doing a big old specific training session where we're doing something sport or athletic specific. We're doing something about stress today. So oscillating for me is the best way to get the lymph moving. I got another light I got to turn on here. Lymph moves when we move. And, part of The reason I think we get so darn stressed out all the time is our lymphatics, our the fluids in our bodies are stagnant. We've been sitting too long. Our lymphatic system is very, very important. Anything from muscle recovery to helping relieve tension to warm you up for exercise to recover you after you've done it. There's a million reasons that getting your lymph moving throughout the day is important. I like my little sign table today. We're going to do a move on that one here in a bit. But starting out, we are going to start seated. For those of you that have never joined me for a session, and I had a question about this morning, you certainly can use your regular dining room chair. When you put your foot on the plate, your feet are about 6 to 8 inches, depending on what model you have, off the ground. So if you're looking more like this as an angle, by the time you sit down, long term, like if you're using it for a couple of minutes under your desk here and there, but if you plan to use your machine long term, seated, you want to get something that's going to sit you more functionally. So you want to be at a good 90-degree angle. This chair I have is hydraulic. It moves up and down depending on who I've got on the machine. I would rather you be a little higher than lower. So if your chair doesn't get you perfectly at a 90-degree, this takes the body weight out of the equation. It makes it easier if you're dealing with fatigue, poor mobility, things like that. So for the purposes of today's start exercise, I just wanted to get a little bit of lower body lymph movement going. I want your feet not as wide as possible. Wide is more intense. That's what jogging is versus walking. So we're going to this is just about feeling good today. If you're dealing with any pain, chronic issues, things like that, regardless of what speed or program you're using, in oscillating movement, you're always in control. Bring those feet closer together if it's too much action. Okay? So I'm going to put my feet to start about hip width apart. I want you at a mid to high speed. If you're a new user, if you're dealing with chronic issues, everything I say pretty much contradicts the manual completely. But I specialize in dealing with broken bodies. So to reduce intensity, your feet are one part of the equation. But everybody just talks about the speed or what frequency or what program. I want you at a mid-speed range. This is a personal experience, how this feels to everybody. And I don't know your pain. It's different than other people's. I don't know your stress, your tension. So if it's too much, bring the feet closer. But I want you at a mid-speed. It's going to be smoother. It's going to be less choppy than those slow, instinctively starting speeds. Mid's a better way to go, but bring those feet closer and complement. And all I want to do, a very easy, lazy way to get a little bit of total body lymph, lots of tension, especially my ladies, we carry it all in the neck and the shoulders. I'm a little closer than hip width apart. We're going to come over and we're going to lean our elbows on our knees, and we want this arm nice and straight. What you'll notice with your elbows on your knees, you don't really feel it in the head as much as you'd expect. The line of movement is going up straight through the shoulders and into the neck and the shoulders where we want it. If you want it more deep in the neck, up into the base of the spine, shift your weight back a bit, and you'll feel like you're arching up like a cat. So I guess we could call this a seated cat-cow. You're going to feel it more in the nape of the neck and the base of the head. If you push forward a little bit, you're going to notice it's more between the shoulder blades and under the bra strap kind of area. So just playing with the angles of how you sit. You can even lean one side more than the other. So if you lean to the left, maybe you got a frozen shoulder or you got a weak side and a strong side. Just by shifting your weight from one side to the other, it not only gets more movement into the neck and the shoulders, but by applying your body weight, if you're dealing with, this is off topic, but if you're dealing with like severe osteo or something where you're trying to build the bones and the muscles and you can't stand yet, bare weight, this is going to get a little more weight into that lower portion of the leg, and you're just alternating side to side. I just do it as a feel good, but the fact that your feet are on the plate, you're bearing some weight, you're getting the passive benefits of what exercise would offer you. The last one I want to do as a seated exercise is I want to do some nice spine twists. And if you're seated on a chair, it gives you a little bit of leverage to do this one. We're going to keep the feet flat. We're going to turn, and we just want to sort of reach. Not really moving as much at the waist. And then we're just going to go do the other side. If you don't have a chair back, grab the side. Just gonna give yourself a little bit of leverage, and we're just gonna do some spine twists. Over. You want to keep a nice straight torso. That core is engaged. If you want, and you can do something like this, or you can put your hands on your hips, whatever. I find it if you use your arms, you get a better stretch, and it pulls out that shoulder blade a little better than if you're just doing it at the waist. I like adding an arm. You can even grab and pull if you want to get a nice, good stretch. Probably 3 to 4 reps per side on anything we're doing today. Do it till you feel better. Don't do it for an hour, but you should be feeling some relief. And by your lower legs just being on the plate is just boosting the lymphatic and the circulation movement to help expedite everything else. So the next one we're going to move on to is a little bit of on the ground stuff. So I'm going to get my chair out of the way. Standing stuff first and then on the ground. I always try to have a flow. Once I'm down there and I start getting lazy with my, hang on, I don't want that blocking my view too much. When I start getting on the ground and really start getting lazy, I don't want to have to get back up again. It's just kind of my thing. So I've got my little stool here to just do a variation. We were doing what I guess you could call a standing or a seated cat-cow there. For those of you that are dealing with fear, poor mobility, range of motion, or stamina is lacking, I want to get a little more movement than just standing going, but many of you aren't able to do squats yet. And today's just about stress relief, so we're not going to do too much work today. When you're standing on the machine, same rules apply. I'm going to bend those knees just slightly, okay? And I want a nice straight torso. The core is engaged, shoulders are back, and we're just going to do some pelvic tilts. If you stand or sit too much, if you do anything too much, you tend to get tight in this area. So we're just going to tilt the bum forward and backward, forward and backward. Now, I talked earlier today or in my session description about combining tools. Now, for many of you that are working hard, don't have a lot of time to spare, maybe you get home and the kids are in the way, combining your technologies is a really good way to, get the benefits of both. There's a reason that you sought each technology out. But sometimes you're short on time. So normally, I love combining my red light. Many of you are using a red light belt while you're doing your vibration machine exercises. I didn't put that on today because there's a couple laying down exercises I'm going to be doing on my low back, and I didn't want to put the belt directly on it. I tend to do a lot of direct body applications. So what I'm using today as my combination tool, I think that's what April's going to be. What's Debbie going to combine with the Vibe this week? So this is the larger panel, the BioHeal. I've got it attached to the clip. I spent all morning making the most awesome wall mount, but I couldn't find my cord that bent in half that goes with it. So I'll have to show you my little construction project later. But what I like to do when I'm doing my vibration therapy, or if I'm laying down and using my PEMF mat, I've got a mat under a mount under a bookshelf. I put this on. For today, I'm simply standing this up. There's too much argument and discussion about how close or how far apart or how far away. When you're using the panels, the sun's pretty far away, right? I'm not looking for the infrared benefits. I'm using the red light at this point. So I've got a little further away from me for 2 reasons today. I don't want to blast you with it on camera, obviously. But I'm not a big fan of wearing glasses. Now, I know that you're supposed to be wearing glasses as a protective thing. But the goal here is that you're not looking directly at the light, okay? The goal here today is that it's simply casting upon you while you're doing your moves. So I'm not looking directly at the light's kind of there, and I'm looking at this beautiful wall mount that didn't work that I made for it this morning. So normally I'd have less clothing. I'd be wearing some shorts and just a tank top. And while I'm doing my thing, I'm having the red light cast upon me, so I'm getting that other benefit. So I want more skin surface exposed. So I spared you on that note on camera today, but I'm not looking directly at the light. If you find yourself hard and you're like a bug that you can't tempt yourself from, put your goggles on, put your glasses on, wear your protective eyewear. That's a good way to start. So for the next exercise, while we're doing the red light and we're doing our Vibe now, we're going to move to a standing cat-cow. So you got your stool in front of you. What I like to start with is simply hands on the surface of your stool. The knees are slightly bent. I got into a discussion this morning, is it okay to lock your legs? There's never a black and white. Sometimes, for 30 seconds or so to lock your legs in a position like this is different than when you lock your legs in a position like this, whoever did the post about the grandkids, you can't make the good voice sounds unless you do lock your legs. I don't want you doing it for 10 to 15 minutes, but part of the reason we recommend not locking the legs is some of you don't like how it feels on the head. It's really, if you're really wide and you're going 100 miles an hour, yeah, your knees are probably going to be sore. So, for 30 seconds to a minute for a stretch or something like that, it's a little bit different. So for this cat-cow, I like to lock my legs because I like to feel the stretch on the hamstring. If you've got really tight hamstrings, like most people do, while you're doing this, raise the balls of your feet so you're up on those heels, and it adds the calves into the equation, the back of the knee, and you can really feel those hamstrings fire. Then just take a break, bend the knees slightly. And while you're doing that, arch up like a cat. 2, 3. Then we go back and do this one again. Kind of like you're doing a cat-cow, but a hamstring stretch at the same time. I suck this way. I have no flexibility this way. And then lean forward. Knees are slightly bent. We're arching up like a cow. See, and I've done the cat-cow 4,000 different ways, and there's always a new variation. I'm still getting my red glow. Okay? Arch up like a cat. I love, love, love doing that one. If you do yoga moves now, or if you do Pilates, if there's some regular stretches that you do, a vibration plate is just an environment that ramps up the effects of whatever you're doing on it. So experiment. So the next one I wanted to do, okay. So on this one here, if you've ever done, it's like a bend over pose. I want you to grab your elbows like this, if balance allows. And I just want you to hang. So the knees are slightly undone on this one, and we're just hanging at the hips. Relax our head. Try pushing your chest towards your knees. Breathe. 2, 3. Come up. Take a breather. Back down. Low back is a really common area of tension. If you did want to turn this into more of a hamstring stretch at the same time, lock the legs up for 5-10 seconds. Relax. Roll back up. Really opens up the shoulder blades, the low back. I was enjoying playing around with that one this morning. So now we're going to get down on the ground. So for those of you that do have range of motion is never getting down on the ground. It's the getting back up off the ground. So I'm going to ramble on a few more exercises here. Hello, Kate. Hello, Laura. Hello, Facebook user. And then I'm going to come back to some questions from you guys, okay? So first what I'm going to do, and I call it a preacher stretch. Some call it a child's pose. I think it depends who taught it to you. But a preacher stretch or a child's pose, we're simply down on our knees. We're going to put arms on the plate. Now, just like when you're standing, if your hands or your forearms are closer versus further apart, that changes the amount of movement. So I kind of hang on to the outer edge of the plate. I come down. Just relax. Hold. 2, 3. If you're more flexible, I like to back up and widen my knees so my chest can actually go down to the ground. Your arms on the plate are going to raise you up off the ground a little bit so you can actually kind of get into this stretch a little bit deeper. Hold. 2, 3. Up. I don't know what this one's called, but it just kind of feels good right after that one. Okay. The next one we're going to do, for some of you, if you do have skinny little sticky outy bones or you want some padding, we're going to get the low back on the machine. I know, Debbie, you're crazy, but you're going to love this one. There's a couple of different variations we're going to do here. The first one we're going to do, so that was the child's pose. We're going to go, we got to do a downward dog first. So downward dog, You go from your child's pose up, depending on your range of motion and your flexibility. Okay. If you can keep your feet flat, it's a good stretch. If you can't, that's fine. I gotta take my glasses off. Now for this one, line of sight is very important. If you want to minimize the head vibe, back here, you're gonna do that. If you're more forward and your head is above the vibration, you're gonna get more shake. How do we reduce the intensity or the amount of shake? We bring the hands closer, just like standing. So if it's too much shake for you, and you know it's too much shake for you, start with your hands closer in the center to begin with. Okay, so same thing, flat feet. We're down. I like to shift my weight just to get it into the shoulders. Make sure that you're breathing, okay? If you want to come up on the toes, experiment with that basic position. All you're doing is sending the good stuff to the areas of tension that need it, okay? And I'm doing these on a slower speed, but as a reminder, mid to higher speed with closer feet or hands is way more bang for your buck on the feel-good stuff, especially if you're dealing with chronic issues. Okay, the next one we're going to move to is called a lying down glute stretch. So I've done a glute stretch seated. I've done a glute stretch standing. There's a few ways to stretch the glutes. This one, I just want to make sure I've got enough room. I like to sit on the plate with the controls between my legs. Sometimes you want to speed it up. Sometimes you want to slow it down. Sometimes you have a model where if you hit the buttons, it changes things. So this is the least risk of doing something to that. And all the time, I feel like I'm in California with my red light casting upon me. So lying down trunk stretch is you're going to take one leg, cross it across the other. Your forearms are holding you up off the ground. You could also use your Aeroflex step for this. As I say that, I realize it's upstairs in the living room, so I won't be showing that to you today. But what we're going to do is lift with the opposite leg. That low back is on the machine. You want to look just sort of up at the ceiling, make sure your spine is straight. And this leg is pushing towards. If you want to pick it up and have a kind of a hamstring stretch at the same time, you can do that. Just really nice massage in the low back while we're stretching that glute at the same time. Now we're going to switch sides. This one, lift, push. You've always got one side that's a little more flexible than the other. Up, 2, 3, back down. And I would say 2 to 3 reps on that one. That's a good one if you're laying in bed at night and you want to stretch out that low back and the glutes. You can do that one while laying on your back in bed at night too. The next one we're going to do is a low trunk rotation. Now, depending on the style of machine that you're using, you may or may not be able to cross your legs. Now, I'm not going to be able to do it on the Mini. So you're going to cross your legs on the floor in front of you. We're going to put our hands on our hips, and it's very similar, basically the same one we were doing seated. So I want you reaching back and hold. 2, 3. Switch. Hold. 2, 3. Switch. Hold. 2, 3. You can put your arm on the ground if you need. Again, 3 to 4 reps per side on any of these. That's a good one if the range is there. Again, you're getting a nice stretch in the shoulders. We're loosening up that low back, alleviating some tension on the spine, because we tend to look like this a lot of the day, sitting at our desk. So we want to get some movements in there. Next one we're going to do is knees to chest. So knees to chest. You can do this one laying on your back with both knees at the same time. In this variation, I'm doing it one knee at a time. Sometimes you got to modify your exercise if you don't have a step, the size of your plate. There's always a way to modify. But what we're going to do with this one is we're going to pull the knee with this arm and just hold. 2, 3, 4. Switch sides. 3 to 5 seconds. Depends what feels good for you. If you do have shoulder issues or upper body strength issues, you may want to prop a couple pillows, or like I say, the Aeroflex step is perfect and you can just lay on your back to do these same exercises. If you've got tight hips, you have issues with your hips, that's a good one, just to get some range of motion, and another way to get into those glutes as well. If there's stretches that you're doing now that look like any of the ones that I was doing today, and you haven't experimented with them on your machine, I just want to reiterate when I do these type of sessions, whether it's for stress, even though it's Stress Awareness Month, maybe your stress is the fact that you're living in chronic pain all the time. I'm going to switch the panel off here. Perhaps the issue is you're unable to exercise regularly because you're dealing with a painful condition. And when you're dealing with pain or limited mobility, sometimes it's the biggest challenge is your fatigue. If you're in pain all the time, it takes all your energy away, and it's even though you have the best of intentions, it's hard to even do some of this stuff. So start where you can and build from there. Getting down on the ground isn't necessarily better than standing. What's more important is that you're using your plate regularly, and whatever that looks like for you and your range of motion is going to vary from person to person. So I want to go through, and if there's today was kind of a general head to toe, but if you've got a really specific area, or if you've got a spot that you kind of want to target, or a stretch that you do, or something you want me to figure out for you today, it's now question time. So again, reminder on the review contest, the link is there if you guys do want to make sure that you enter for that. Hello again to Laura. Hello, Facebook user from Sherwood, Arkansas. Just got to see the total eclipse. Yeah, you guys were pretty close. No more stress since the zombies didn't come. I heard that they've shut down commercial vehicle travel, and I don't know why we're so crazy about this. What's sad, I wasn't around, but I was sharing a newspaper clipping from 1970 where the headline, it was the something Sun, and it said next eclipse like this will be 2024. And I'm sure everybody then thought, oh, that's so far away. Well, here we are. Laura, is oscillation on the Mini? Oscillation is the only movement on the Mini. So oscillation is that side to side, mimics how we walk. That's why it's the most functional. It's also the most preferred. Once you start using this regularly, it's nice to have the variations if you do have a Rumblex or a Turbo or a Hovert. But most people are using a Waver or a Waver Mini. And in a lot of cases with the chronic issues I deal with, when people say, well, what's the best machine, Debbie? It's usually more about how you plan to use the machine. So you want to move it around a lot. You're not going to want a 50-pound Rumblex with a bunch of stuff. You want something, or if I'm encouraging someone to use it 3, 4, 5 times a day for symptom management, maybe they're moving it from the bedroom to the kitchen island to the living room. So a lot of times the Waver or the Mini are the best choices. Even though they lack the different movement styles, it's like going to the gym and saying, I want to lose weight, and you go to the gym and all they have is treadmills. Oh, well, I have to lose weight, and just, it's one way to lose weight. Some places, maybe it's weights, maybe it's a sauna, but there's lots of different ways to lose weight. So there's lots of different ways to benefit from a vibration machine, and there's different movement types. The reason I focus on oscillating is it gives the most functional benefits and balance, like right now, which is important for most people. And it's more obtainable this way and more accessible, of course. And all of Life Pro's models have oscillating, so that's important too. Kate is from Virginia Beach. Welcome. Hello, Brenda. I'm glad you caught the live too. Does anyone have any questions for me about the poses I did today, or anything that you're dealing with personally? You may or may not. Big lesson today. It is Stress Awareness Month. And sometimes the mental stress of, like I say, life and our job and our kids, deters us from doing the physical. And the last thing you feel like doing is a workout. Well, get that. I hate the word workout and diet. They're all demotivating. So just do a little spot treatment, a little stress session, and feel better. Like I say, it might be a minute, might be 2 or 3 moves. More often, listen to your body. We've got to reconnect with many of us. Listen to lots of information, but we don't always listen to the best source of information, which is our own body. And, right now, I know I put the wrong bra on today because my shoulders are already bugging me. And when my back is bugging me, I sit like this, and I don't know why. I'm from those old school days when you held a phone like this. And I still, when I'm talking on my cell phone, I do it. It's just habitual. So there's things that we are sometimes mindful of, and then at 6, 7 o'clock you go, oh, why am I? Oh, yeah. So do it as you feel tension. It doesn't mean that you have to wait until your workout to get relief from using your vibration plate or other tools. And today I combined red light. Red light is an easy, when a lot of people say, well, what's the best red light? It's kind of, I don't mean to make it complicated in my answer, but the versatility and the range of products that Life Pro offers you guys, it gives you the ability to kind of really tailor what you're planning on using it for. The reason I like one type of red light might be completely different why I might recommend, a different type of light, and it's based on your needs and how you plan to use it. So for today, because I knew I was going to be lying down all over the machine, I normally like to wear my red light belt around my belly or around my bum or my shoulder. But if I'm doing something massage wise where I'm laying down, I by far prefer my panels if I'm going to combine it, because I can just set it and forget it. I generally have them a little bit closer to me on a side table, but I didn't want to blind you guys while I was doing the moves today. So if you've got other tools, be it red light, be it compressions, a vibration machine is a catalyst. It better prepares the body for whatever you're going to do next to it, or it will also help you recover from whatever you just did to it. So it can be a couple minutes before and after. You can combine your tools if you're short on time, or maybe you just need to heal quicker and recover faster. Maybe you're doing, some specific training, and it's not that life is in the way. You need to get more into your training. So sometimes if you just put a little creativity and thought into how you're doing it now, 9 times out of 10, there's a way you can modify your positions or incorporate tools into the use of your plate just to ramp up those effects overall. I hope that helps. Hello, Diana. Nice to see you. Thank you for joining again. Brenda, I just got the red light wrap today. Can't wait to use it. Awesome. So if you're talking like the full light, like the full body one, 2 to 3 minutes on the plate, some pelvic tilts, just something to get that lymph moving to kind of start the process, then do the sauna, then get back out. You're really going to enjoy it. Haven't tried the small ball, not sure what to do with it. The massage ball is actually, this massage ball is highly under-discussed and underrated sometimes, because it's an inclusion with many purchases. Most people are buying the big rollers or the peanuts. But what I love about the little massage ball, it's a great tool if you're dealing with opposite end spectrum. And what I mean by that is very, very severe or very, very conditioned. So in between, the very conditioned, you can use things more regularly, but you can't take your whole vibration machine with you. That's a really good tool to have on the go if you do have tight spots or tension. If you've got neuropathy in the feet, rolling it under your feet. If you've got Raynaud's, just hanging on to it in your hands, grip strength, those type of things. For those that are, opposite end of the spectrum, where maybe a vibration machine you're not quite ready for, or you've got some tough spots that you need to target, might be lymphomas. Folks in my group know what that's all about. Maybe it's scar tissue. The ball is a really good localized area thing, and the size of it is really good. If you've ever worked with a stress ball for grip strength, well, you can do that with that, but get the vibration with it as well. And again, so the neuropathy, Raynaud's, any of that stuff, I think you'll find it a valuable on-the-go tool, or while you're on your plate, if you're sitting on the chair or on the ground, use it while you're doing your plate sessions. Make it a little more fun. I have to keep mine up all on a shelf because my dog is just like, someday he dreams that he's going to get one of those balls to play with. I hope that helps. And it's just a lithium charge, Brenda, on that. So make sure you get her charged up. Most of Life Pro's tools, when they come, do have a pretty good charge life on them. I like to charge them just to make sure, plug them in, just to make sure that all the components are working, the charge cable's working, and make sure, of course, if you guys have purchased anything new, hint, Brenda, if you just got a ball, you obviously got something new recently. Please make sure that you register your warranty with Life Pro. Not only to get your warranty registers, but there's other information that they'll send you. If you're joining me from the main page or elsewhere and you are not a member of the Life Pro VIP group, you need to be. It's a little bit more intimate. You get a little bit more user experience, people that have been using products for a while, combining products for a while. It's also a great place to ask more seasoned questions, so you've been using something for a while and then you have a question. And it's also a great place to just find, people that have been looking at the videos, they tend to understand how to navigate and find the resources because they've already been using them. So make sure that you join up there. And if you haven't entered the review contest, I've put the link at the top of the group. Make sure you go in, enter for a $1,000 Visa gift card, as well as a Life Pro t-shirt. The deals continue at Life Pro. I'm pretty sure, I checked last night because somebody was looking at a sauna bag. I want to make sure what we got going on for deals, right? Yeah, it's still 20% off, you guys. So if you have been looking, now is the time. Once things go out of stock, and a few of you are like, oh, it's out of stock, is it going to be on 20% off again later? Probably not. This is the time of year where inventory changes over for a lot of companies, China, warehousing in the States, Amazon, and there's deals for a reason. So if you've been on the fence and there's something there, now is the time if you want to make sure you get the best stock availability. And Brenda, keep me posted on the ball. Sometimes it's, sometimes the less you look at the book and put yourself in the box of what you're supposed to do with it and just start experimenting with what you think you should do with it. I love it on the back of my knees. A lot of my gals that are dealing with certain disorders have a deposit or fluid that collects in the back of the knees. It's great to hit there. Arches of the feet, in around here. I put it in my arm and I'll grip it just to get in, stretch the muscles and get the vibration into just, you're only limited by your imagination and your range of motion. And I'm here to fill in the blanks on the rest. So thank you for joining me, guys. Again, it is Stress Awareness Month, so you'll probably see a couple more sessions from myself, Roseanne, and Amber related to that. If you have any questions at all and you're watching this on a recorded basis, or you think about something after the fact that you'd like to ask me, tag me. Always tag me at Debbie with a Y. It's easy that way. Sometimes if the convo gets going after the fact and there's 50, 60, 100 comments, I don't want to lose your comment and have you think that I didn't care about answering you. I do, but sometimes because I have a different spelling, it's easier to tag me that way and just make sure that I get a ton of notifications in a day. So I would love to just make sure that I don't miss yours. Thank you for joining me again. If you've been on the fence, 20% off Life Pro site wide, enter the review contest. And please use your plates regularly. That's the secret to all of this. Don't get so hung up in what program and setting and what he's doing or she's doing. Start experimenting. At some point, there was somebody that never used a vibration machine before, except the first guy. And, it's not like he figured it all out, but he probably had to figure a little bit out. So, you're only limited by your imagination and your range of motion. It's a personal experience for everybody. The tips that I offer and how I use the machine does contradict, or it seems counterintuitive, I've been told, but I deal with a lot of chronic issues and I just invite you to try a different approach. The body gets used to anything after a period of time. So even with the stress stuff, the relaxation, the stretching, if you've been using the same moves and the same settings for a long time, you want to make sure you're not stuck in maintenance mode. So, with some of the stuff I was doing today, it's not like you really progressed or there's variations, but it's not like you're adding weights to these or doing deeper squats like with fitness. So just change up your settings. The reason I say a mid to high speed, I never give you a number, is I want you to play around. Maybe you like 44, maybe I like 48, maybe she likes 52. Body type and how it feels, again, is different. So experiment within those ranges and mix it up regularly, especially if you're using your plates consistently. Okay, thanks again. Today's day 4 of using her Rumblex Plus. I knew you'd like that model, Diana. I hope you haven't found it too cumbersome. What I hope is that you're not tucking it under your bed and you're just using it all the time and moving on to bigger and better things. I look forward to seeing long-term. Diana and I met in a different group, started talking about bone density, and me, I had to offer my opinions. So here you are in the bigger group today, surrounded, sometimes it's about ideas, but sometimes it's the motivation, it's the cheerleaders, it's the support, and it's knowing, especially if you're dealing with a chronic thing, that you're not the first person to be here and go through this. It's nice to know that you've got camaraderie and a peer group that you can lean on, good or bad. All right. She's leaving it out. It's a nice way to step up onto the bed, especially if you've got a bigger, tall pillow top of some sort. All right, you guys have a great rest of your week. I will see you here again next Monday for something exciting. Not sure. There's a couple of big conferences that I am paying attention to this weekend, so maybe something related. FDRS, for those of you that are in my group, is this coming weekend, so maybe we have to do something. FDRS is the Fat Disorders Research Society, which is a resource society, pardon me. So there'll be a lot of you looking that way. For the rest of you, it's Stress Awareness Month. Be mindful, not just this month, but all throughout the year. Have a great rest of the day, guys. Don't work too hard.